Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today's video is going to be me talking through my figure photography setup. Originally when I started my YouTube channel, I wanted to post every 2 weeks, and I've got to hold my hands up and say, look, I haven't been doing that. But I do have a couple of reasons why. Firstly, me and my wife went to California. It was an amazing trip. Secondly, I had a concussion when I got back, which wasn't fun. And thirdly, before I went, life just was busy, work was busy. I had loads of stuff that I needed to do before I left. So I apologise, but we're back. I put up a poll on my Instagram story asking what you guys wanted to see for my next YouTube video. It's either going to be me editing a couple of shots that I've taken and talking you through my process, or me talking you through the equipment and setup that I use for my photography. And the photography one was the video that won the poll. So here we are. I don't know how many of you guys know, but I am actually a videographer slash photographer by trade. That is kind of my day-to-day job outside of posting pictures of my figures. So I have been fortunate enough to be able to buy some of this equipment for my work. So it's kind of had double use, hence why I've been able to invest a bit more than maybe the average person could. So I'm not suggesting that you have to go out and buy top of the range cameras. Your phone is fine. Phones shoot 4K imagery now. There's absolutely nothing wrong with taking pictures on your phones, but this is just some of the stuff that I use. Contrary to what the Canon strap may actually indicate, this is a Sony camera. This is the A7 III. I've used Sony stills cameras pretty much since like the first year I've been working as a photographer and videographer. This was originally my video and photography camera, but I have ended up getting a separate camera for videography. But for photography, this thing is an absolute monster. It shoots raw files. I don't know the megapixel. I'm not a megapixel fiend like some photographers are. It shoots super high res. It's amazing in low light. And yeah, I can't really fault it. It's excellent. With the A7S, I actually have a couple of lenses that I use depending on the project. As I said, it is my job. So I have a 24, 35, 50 and 85. The 50 is actually on the camera that I'm shooting this video with right now. And this 35, this is predominantly what I use for figure photography. I have to shoot pretty much all my stuff in my living room. So I don't have that much space to shoot with a really, really long lens. It's like a portrait lens really in real life. It's pretty flexible. It's wide enough that you can get full torso shots of figures, close enough that if you want to push in, you can get those portraits as well. This is actually a cine lens, so the f-stop ring is adjustable on the lens, which is quite handy. Obviously, the more you open up the lens, the blurrier the image gets. So if you do want to dial in that really cinematic look on the spur of the moment, you can do. And yeah, this lens is from a kit, as I said. I don't know how much everything cost in this video, as I've kind of accumulated it over probably like 7 or 8 years. But for a cine lens and for what I think the quality of the lens is, I can't really fault it. It's a Rokinon, but I believe in the US, this same lens is branded as Samyang, or maybe the other way around, I can't remember. But yeah, it's a relatively inexpensive lens for how good the results are that you can get from it. And speaking of lens, here's 2 things that you can pick up for, I think together these cost me about £10. In dollars, it's about $18, something like that, from AliExpress. These are macro close-up filters that you can put on the front of your lens. So every lens that you have for a camera has a different thread size. If you look up the thread size of your camera, you're able to find the correct thread size in these. I believe this is a 77mm, and so is this one. So this works on pretty much all of my lenses, but as I say, I mainly use the 35. And what this allows you to do, so I'll take it out of the box. It's basically like a magnifying glass. So you stick it on the front of the lens, and I don't know if you can see, it's kind of like raised like a big bubble. Essentially this allows you to get that super, super, super close focus on smaller things. So macro lenses are kind of used for wildlife photography of like insects and flowers, but obviously figures are quite a bit smaller, and sometimes it is quite hard to get things in focus close up if you want to get a real tight facial shot of one of your figures. So I invested in these because I looked to get in a macro lens and it was kind of like 300 quid. I thought for £4 each, I'll give these a try. And yeah, they've actually worked brilliantly. The plus 10 is super blurred. So if you open the lens up, as I tend to do when I take pictures, and shoot with this, your plane of focus is literally like a hair. So it can be quite tricky, but if you have a tripod, it's absolutely fine. This is the one that I tend to use on those really moody portraits that you might have seen me post of faces that are super close up with the background blurred. And then I have, this literally says it's every size on the back, so I don't know what it is. I believe it's +4 close-up 77mm thread. And yeah, as you can see, this one's not quite as domed on the top because it's not quite as much of a zoom. To be honest, this is kind of my favorite one out of the two. This one is a bit more workable if you're not operating your camera on a tripod. This does the job for 99% of things. The other one's kind of like more of a gimmicky effect. This one is actually kind of practical and useful. I'd maybe get somewhere in between what I've got, maybe like a +6 if you're only thinking of getting one. A +6 one would probably be a good in between. But yeah, it just really allows you to get that really super tight focus on your figures from close up, which isn't always possible without having a macro lens. So I'll start with the first light rig I bought, which is this. It's the SmallRig RM01, I believe it is. It comes in a pack of 3. Again, I purchased it from AliExpress. Again, can't fault it. This was about £40 or £50, I believe, but it kind of has everything, as you'll see. So it comes in a nice little carry case. You get 3 lights, you get charging cables, you get a selection of bind doors. The light heads are actually all magnetic, so these just clip on and allow you to control the light beam. And then this is kind of the main bit of the kit. You get 3 lights, 3 tripods, you get a spotlight beam adapter, hot shoe mounts, and yeah, I can't fault it. You get coloured gels in the pack and you get a little diffuser head. So this is the light here. I will shine it into the lens. But yeah, these are super bright. They're super small, so you can get them into scenes, super tight to figures. These have been worth every single one of the £40 I paid for them. You can put this on to diffuse the light a bit if it's a bit harsh as well. And yeah, some of the stuff that you've seen on my Instagram account, which has coloured lights, most of it, if not all of it, has been done with these. More recently, I have actually been using tube lights. So these again were £9 each from AliExpress. I believe they're called Pulus. Don't know how you pronounce it. But yeah, they're kind of like Amaran knockoffs. The Amaran lights are like £80. These are £9. You can't change the color temperature, but they come in multiple colors. I'm actually using one to light the video now. I have 2, but I have lost one, so I'm waiting for a replacement to come. And again, they change colors. They are super flexible. You can stick them on light stands. You can stick them in one of them tripods from the RMO1s, or you can stick it on a light stand and have it by itself, like I have for this video. They're a little bit bigger, so they tend to throw out more light than the RMO1s. So for things like a key light or like a backlight for your backdrops, they tend to work really well. That's kind of my main use for them at the minute. I originally invested in a Pulus, the same company that makes the tube lights that I've got. They also make a photography light box. It was advertised online for like jewelry and things like that, and fashion. Has built-in lights, comes with a number of different colored backdrops that you can change out. And it's great. It served its purpose. It kind of gives you that studio look with the infinite white background or the infinite gray background. And then I actually purchased the Hot Toys Superman, the David Corenswet release, and I wanted to get some shots that felt like they were a little bit more out there. So predominantly shots of him flying, shots of Spider-Man swinging, etc. And it just wasn't really possible using the Hot Toys stands with that light box. So I improvised. I found a backdrop clamp on, again, you'll notice the theme, AliExpress, which has allowed me to take the backdrops that came with the light box and clip them onto that and use that as the support for the backdrop. So now when I shoot with that, I basically have no height restriction, have no width restriction, I have no restriction as to where I can put lights. It's a little bit flimsy, it does sometimes topple over, which is a bit annoying, but for £5 I will take it. And then the last thing I will occasionally do for figure photography is use screens as backdrops. So I have used my wife's monitor, which is in the bedroom office, and I have occasionally used my laptop screen as backdrops. I usually source like a stock photo or like a film frame from, you know, whatever film the character might be from or whatever location I want to put the character in. Light the scene in a real space to match said image, shoot the picture with the screen as a backdrop, and then kind of edit the contrast and saturation values of each to match. I did this with my Clone Wars Anakin Skywalker figure more recently, and I also did it in a picture of my Pattinson Batman with blue and red neon. So it does work quite well if you can get it right. The thing that I find tricky about it is sourcing images, so I don't tend to do it all the time for that reason, but if you have a strong background image, it can be fantastic. I think that just about wraps up today's video. If anyone has any questions about any potential equipment they're thinking of buying, or any questions about the equipment I might have mentioned, feel free to drop them below in the comments or drop me a DM on Instagram and I will do my best to answer. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you then in the next one.